Hello, hello, hello. I'm so glad to be here. Um, so I feel like I just coming in for a landing here. I'm Donalyn Riley. I am here to help you with personal development tools in order to build your business. Now, that kind of sounds a little funny because it's personal, but it's business. And let me tell you something. The more you do on this, the better you get to do on the work that you've been called to do, on the work that you want to do, on the work that you've chosen, right? So it is super to be here with you. I'm going to just check in and make sure that like I really am live and things like that, right? And so can we tell? It's too hard to tell. Oh, no, I don't have enough computing power. So I believe that I am here with you. Let's just take it on faith for this day. Please let me know you're here. Put a comment in. That's when I can see that you guys are here. And I love being here with you live. I love being here with you on this platform, right? On all of the platforms, because I feel like it's so nice to really be able to go where you want me, where it feels good to you. And that feels really, really good. So I do not want you to miss today's training. Today we are talking about what it takes for your customers to know, like, and trust you, and why it matters to you personally, right? So before we dive into it, I am just going to give that one more try to make sure that I'm really live. We'll make sure, see if somebody can tell me here. Oh, hello there, Kathy. So glad to get a heads up from you and let me know that I'm live. So that is fantastic. Thank you. So know, like, and trust is a really interesting topic. If you have been hanging around marketers for a while, it's a phrase you're likely to have heard before, right? Know, like, trust. This is what it takes for our customers to want to buy from us. So I'm going to start with the part where it matters to you, right? Because that's what really, like, it leaves us with. It leaves us with like, okay, that's really manipulative. I don't really want to play that game. Sometimes it can feel like that. So let's cut straight to the chase and talk about, why does this matter? Why does it matter? Because knowing, liking, and trusting, they aren't just the basis of a purchase relationship. They're the basis of relationships. All relationships start in some way. Hi there. Good to see you, Julia. Thank you. It starts with that, right? When you meet somebody new, you don't think like, I don't like that person, I think I'll go talk to them, right? You think like, oh, that was kind of cool. And knowing people, even from a distance, when you're in physical situations, much easier to kind of get that sense that you know someone, right? They're drinking a certain type of coffee and you go like, ooh, that's my kind of person. Or they're doing a specific thing that I do it exactly like that, right? And you can relate, right? But when we're online, it's really different, because the spaces that are casual like that are not easily accessible. So finding a way to actually connect with people is the goal. So why that matters to you personally is because it is really, really nice to do business with a bunch of people that you know, like, and trust. And that's the beginning of the relationship, right? So it goes both directions. It's not just about them, the faceless people who push the credit card button, saying push the credit card button, right? It's about building a life that you love. It's about, in this group, we talk about authenticity, right? And authenticity is not just me telling you about my authentic self. It absolutely is that, but it is not just that. It is also you telling me about your authentic self. We need to be having real relationships. And the only way to do that is to really show up, in our fullness, right? So the reason that this really came into focus for me in a way where I thought, oh, I really want to talk to people about this is because a lot of times you see, you see other people's businesses and you perceive them to either be successful or they're doing kind of everything right, textbook right, and you think like, oh yeah, that's how you do it. But recently I had an interaction that was the absolute opposite of how I would want anyone to be treated. I didn't want to be treated that way, even though I wanted to do business with the people. They had what I wanted, right? And I don't want to treat people that way. I don't want to, more importantly, I don't want people to feel like they don't quite trust, right? It's just an awful feeling where you're just kind of a little bit suspicious in a transaction. It feels terrible. So this interaction, which I'm actually still having, right? So people might do business with you if you have what they want, but they still don't quite have that full relationship solid with you. They might do business with you, but they won't like it. And happy customers are some of the reason that you should be in it, right? Because happy customers are fun to be around. They're nice. We're doing a thing together, right? So, okay. So let's talk about it. Know, like, trust. Let's start first with the knowing. So it always seemed odd to me that it was in that order, right? Because I thought, well, how can they know you? They have to kind of like you from afar, and then they'll be drawn in, right? No. So know, like, trust. When you want someone to know you and it's on the internet, you're going to have to give a little bit of you in the transaction, right? You're going to have to let people know that this is who you are. So, for instance, I'll give you a for instance. Every time I get on these lives, to the best of my ability, I put a little lipstick on because I love lipstick. I love bright red lipstick. I love burgundy lipstick. Lipstick is fun. When I was, a young girl and just learning how to put on makeup and all of that, the old trick was you put sunglasses on and lipstick and you were ready to go, right? And that's what feels good to me. And so that's what I do with you guys. And it's a way that I can let you guys know me, right? Just a little bit. So as you develop relationships with people, you can do it in this public forum, right? How I'm talking to you at this moment. You can do it in that public forum. But you can also do it in a private forum. So in a more public way, right? We've got video. You've got a way to connect to me. I have a certain type of shirt on. I'm in a certain type of room. These are really my things. There's no virtual background. This is real, right? This is where I live. This is my thing, right? This is where I do business. And so, so for me, this is showing up here in this way is as authentic as it gets. If you came over to where I am physically, you would see these same things. And so that's part of the equation. So in video, you can convey yourself authentically and people get to know you. But also in messaging, right? When you're chatting with somebody or you're working with somebody on, even in comments, right? If you're just commenting on something, using phrases that are the way you really speak is really, really important. So back to this example from my recent past. So these people contacted me and the name of their thing was really interesting. And kind of what they were talking about was kind of really interesting. I was like, this is kind of cool. But I couldn't get a sense of who they were. So I thought, well, I'll go out on a limb here. So I didn't get to know them. I only knew the product. That happens so much, right? In in network marketing, in any type of sales job where you have someone else's product and then you have you, right? So there's kind of two things going on there. So anytime you have someone else's product, people can know the product and not know you. So I didn't know them, but I knew the product and I kind of liked the product. but I didn't know if I knew them or liked them or trusted them. So I got on the call with them, and it was a service, right? Product. It wasn't a physical product that I was dealing with. I got on the call with them, and the little tiny things that you would do in real life, right? If we're really experiencing one another, walking down the street, you would shake the person's hand. Well, maybe not now. You used to shake your person's hand, right? You would say hello. You would introduce yourself. You would give some background, right? So these are the ways that you help people to know who you are, to know, and then they can decide to like, because that's parts on them, right? That's not something you can really do much about. They're going to like you or not like you. And that's a really good thing. Right? Because the people who don't like you but like your product, they're going to buy it from somebody else, and they'll be happy there. And you won't have customer service problems, right? That's how you cut down customer service problems. You let people know you, and then they decide, do they like and trust you? So building that trust is, you think about it exactly the same way that we would do it in a networking meeting, in tangible, physical, real life, right? Don't hold back. Don't hold back, right? Just don't hold back. Just show up 100% as you. So a lot of times people struggle with this, and they feel like, okay, that's great, but it's how you're going to turn on a camera. It's that there isn't anybody there. I don't know how to relate. I don't know how to do it, right? But here I was in a one-to-one meeting, and still I got no explanation of the background of the people. I barely got their names. They kept whispering to one another. They spoke in another language. This was a really interesting thing, another layer of sort of way that I felt left out of the conversation, right? So anytime that you can find ways to include your prospects, your friends, your family, right? Anyone you're dealing with, your customers, anytime you can include them in your inner circle, right? You guys are who I want to talk to. There's no doubt about that. And even if you just came across this and you're like, no, you haven't met me yet, you should be putting your name in there and saying hello, by the way, if that's you. But because I want to meet you, right? I want to meet people who respond well to what we're doing here, because helping people use the tools that help us learn ourselves and be able to represent ourselves really well in the world, be able to give in that fearless sort of way, right? Be able to show up and be present. Well, that takes practice, and sometimes it takes tools, right? So definitely put something in the chat there. If you feel like this is you, just say, yeah, me, or say yes, right? Because being able to do it, it's not the same as being in a room. You can walk into in the olden days, a chamber meeting somewhere, and you can kind of hide in the back, and somebody can see you from afar, and they can pick you out, and they can say, I'm going to go say hello to the new person who's not really making much noise, right? But here, you have to make a little noise for people to know you're in the room. So as you relate, give fearlessly. It's part of what we do with one another. It's what we do in this group. It's what I want to help you guys to learn to do. It's certainly the types of things that we do in my programs, although those often have really specific kind of outcomes. So think about that, and think about when you hear the marketing terms. That's sort of, I call it marketing speak, when people talk about things in kind of jargon, or sometimes they do the thing where you say, it's epic and it's awesome and it's wonderful, right? When things feel over the top, don't allow yourself to distrust. Instead, allow yourself to show up and be present and say, what does this mean to me? What does it mean to me when somebody says, this product is really great? Awesome. These are my questions. Does it do this? Does it do that? Who are you? What is your background? Why are you telling me this? Those are the questions that your clients, that your prospects have. So show up and tell them, right? So here I am going back into my meeting. Excuse me. You should be drinking water. Thank you. So here I go back into my meeting, right? And I never got to a place where I trusted the people. There was never a place where I said, yeah, these are my people. These are people I believe are looking out for me, right? But I still really wanted what they had for some reason. And so I stuck with it in this very uncomfortable place. So keep this in mind when you're dealing with your prospects and your customers, that sometimes they're uncomfortable and you have the ability to give fearlessly and to ease that discomfort. Okay? So I go through the entire meeting, get to the end of the meeting. They say, okay, we'll check in with you in a couple of days or whatever. They check in with me. 3-word text messages. No, nothing. Not like, no, like, oh, it's been 3 days and I wonder. No prepositions. No, right? The whole sentence matters. The whole sentence matters, right? We're communicating in every single word. Cutting to the chase, not always a great thing, right? When you want to share vibration, we talk about this in terms of harmonics and how our minds, how we connect in our minds, right? And how our minds connect when we connect with each other, when we speak to one another, right? And so if you want to do that, you got to be willing to go through all of the vibrations, all of the words that are in the sentence, all of the thoughts that are in the line that gets you from A to B to C to D. So that was not the case with this company, but they kept talking to me and I kind of kept answering very guardedly, right? And then they asked me for money. And I felt like, right, they made a pitch, they wanted to sell me a product, and that was appropriate, right? I knew that they were in business and that they had a product and that they would want me to buy it. But because there was none of the beginning part, when you go to somebody, let's see what's funny that I can pick up here. Here's a recorder. When I hold it backwards, it just looks like a funny man. When you go to somebody and you say, hey, you want to buy my thing? It feels icky, right? It feels really icky because we're in relationship marketing, right? This is our space that we get to be in. And in relationship marketing, it means we get to make relationships. That's the best part, is that we get to know people, that we get to be in a space with them. We get to harmonize our brainwaves with them. We get to decide that we both like a certain thing, that we want to buy the widget, right? And I want to sell the widget because I know the widget is really, really, really good, right? And so when you deny people that space, that shared space with you, it undermines everything that you're trying to do. And with only a few words, you can soften that relationship. With just a few words, they could have drew me back in. In fact, I wrote to them and told them how uncomfortable I was. I wrote to them because I thought, well, I'm not going to be their customer, but they should know that they're really doing this all wrong. And so I said, look, I'm really uncomfortable. I feel like that felt pushy to me. And this part I was worried that you wanted something from me. And this part I felt like left out of the conversation. And right, I really gave them everything because I believe you have to show up 100%. And at that moment, and if you ever get that email, remember this moment, right? Because at that moment, you have the option to fix that relationship. It's just like any relationship in your life. It starts going bad, you get in an argument, you've got the option to figure out how to get through it and for you both to connect again. It is unfortunate that they didn't. They didn't take it in. They said, no, we weren't being pushy. instead of saying, wow, that's what you felt like? That feels awful. How can we fix it? Right? How do we do this together? And being willing to ask the questions and to leave the spaces, right? Just like I asked you guys every week to comment on these things, because I want to know where you are on this. Does this make sense to you, right? Does this feel right to you? Do you have questions about it? And anytime people reach out to me and say, hey, I have a question about this or that or the other thing, I am not annoyed by that. I am really, really excited by that, because that means I get to know you. And that's the exchange we get to be in. So that is really what it takes to know, to let people know, like, and trust you. It is to be able to show up, to be present, to have an awareness of yourself, to have an awareness of your impact on the world, to be able to accurately assess what's happening in your little world, right? To be able to make those minute adaptations, not just through the arc of a sale, but through the arc of a relationship, because that's the best part of being in business. So please let me know if you have any questions. Put them in the chat. You can always, if you're a little shy and you don't want to put them in the chat and you don't want to put them in the comments below, then that's okay. You can always just send them on any of the private messages or the email on my website. So that's DarlinRiley.com. And remember that I am here to serve you, right? So if there are things that you struggle with, even if they seem like, probably nobody else ever struggles with this, you would be surprised. So go ahead and drop me a line any way you can, and we'll get your questions answered, because doing the inner work is really how you get to do the successful outer work. So my goal for you is to make your business better, easier, and better for as many people who are doing any kind of independent sales, independent business, network marketing, relationship work, right, as possible. So thank you so much for being here with me today. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Let's see if I can do it. I think I can.